Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. Test one, two, three. Testing Twitch one, two, three. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Happy New Year to you all. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of January, and it is the first lunch stream of the year with .NET. Hey, my name's Aaron LeBeau, nicknamed the Custoda, and I am here to have some fun with some .NET code. Now, if you're new to the lunch stream, I've been streaming, doing a little bit mobile development with Maui, Uno, and Evlo. I'm trying to build a sample app that I want to get working with all three platforms. We have had all kinds of it, and one side rule is that we're doing it all on a Mac. So we're here to prove that .NET works well on multiple platforms. It's not just Windows. You can make it run just fine on Mac. We've been trying out Rider and Visual Studio Code both. We did Visual Studio Code the last couple of streams, I think, of the year. It's okay. I'm back in Rider here today, and obviously we also have our old friend. We're gonna pour one out for Visual Studio for Mac. Microsoft announced it is end of life as of I want to say May of 2024. I think is its last update. You can see here that obviously it really hasn't been updated in a long time, and I don't even think I could get builds working right. Yeah, see, it's just not working. We're already to the point where Visual Studio for the Mac, my friend, I'm sorry. We've been through some times together, but it's time for us to move on without you. So pour one out for Visual Studio for Mac. But we're in Rider, and Rider is made by the fine folks at JetBrains. I am not paid by them. I pay for my own license. Well, this one's my work license, but I also have my own personal license for Rider, and I use that on my Windows machine and my other computers. So everything I pay for. So let's see here. So last we were working on this, we were trying to figure out how to get our projects set up in a way that kind of worked. I was thinking about trying to share code between a Maui app and an Uno app, and it turns out that's way more difficult than you could possibly ever imagine. They just have different build targets types and stuff, and the Uno platforms are not really easily compatible with the Maui platforms. Uno just supports more. And getting all that to work right and get CodeShare working was a nightmare. And eventually, there was a bug in JetBrains Rider where I couldn't get debugging working with iOS specifically. Like if I went to iOS on my iPhone, you can see here, I now see all my iPhones, but before I couldn't see my iPhones. It would just be like, hey, nope, you can't do this. And it really sucked. And we spent a bunch of time going through figuring out what was going on with the project. It turned out to be a project file problem. And it took me a very long time to get that fixed, way longer than I wanted it to take, to tell you the truth. But the project is kind of set up now. I had to kind of rip everything apart and put it back together. We made some changes last to the CS project file. And we have to have some code that kind of tells us what happens with this multi-platform code that we got. What happens when we have code that is designed for iOS and macOS both? I don't want to have to write a class twice that basically works the same in iOS as it does in macOS because of Catalyst. Remember, Catalyst is just basically how do I make an iOS app run on a Mac? Well, since that is a case, we put a custom condition in here that said, hey, and we're going with the file naming scheme way of doing things. So we're going to say, hey, if a file has Mac, iOS, and this kind of format in it, we're going to include it both in iOS and Catalyst. And so this is important for our services code, where we may have services that are unique for platforms. So you can see here I have a database seed service for iOS and macOS. And this is very specific for only those two services. We don't care about anything else other than those two services. So we want to make sure that for those two services only, we're going to compile those only for iOS. Now, that doesn't need to be for Android, right? So if we go to platforms, for Android, we got it covered. We've just got the regular Android. So we could use the built-in .NET platform folders. But the built-in .NET platforms don't have a shared folder for both Mac and iOS. And that's where I started running some problems. And so that was my goal, was to try to fix this by making this. Now, of course, IntelliSense has no freaking idea what's going on here right now. So you can see it's not happy about this situation. And I think we need to import a couple of things to fix this. This would be system.io. I think the rest of this is working fine. Okay, so when I copy and paste those files over, that must have did it. Let's try to build real quick. Let's just see if we can build. Let's build selected project. And this was building right before I started this, so hopefully we don't already kill ourselves here. I started the new year with updating all my development tools. So I updated Xcode, Rider, my IDEs like VS Code and WebStorm and Android Studio and all those kind of things. So that took a little while for my time, but this looks like it's building. So let's try this on the mobiles. First, we'll start with iOS, and we'll start with our iPhone mini. I think the iPhone mini is the smallest screen possible today on an Apple device. So that's a good place to start to see whether or not our UI looks okay. And then we should probably try on a Biggie phone. And if it works on both those, then you're doing pretty well, right? So if we go look in here, we've got our ability to see our projects, our developer menu screen, our replication, and we can log out. And if we click here and log back in, we should be able to see this again. So we got all that stuff fixed. Now, we had a bunch of different problems with Maui in this template. For those of you that weren't watching, it would work okay on iOS, but when we went to Android, it wasn't great. So let's go over to Android here real quick. And this will take a few seconds for the emulator to start up, the Android emulator. So let's see here and get that started. And I tested audio. It should be working. You'll see here we're building. So that takes a few seconds. There is the ability to see the build status outside of that. Where is the output window? See, that's the background task, but there is ability to see this. View. And let's go to, not debug. We want the build. Or is this the window? Nope, that's the output window. We want the build. Huh. Where's our build window at? One sec. View, appearances. What would be in here? Around. Should be that. That seems weird. Oh, Android is popped up over here. So we're keeping Android in light mode just to make sure that it works in both. We should probably test it both. This is the new resizable emulator, which means you can kind of resize it and it should redraw for you. You see here, oh, this is the wrong app though. This is, yeah, that's the wrong app. That's my native version of the app. This should be the Maui version. So we still have a couple things we got to fix in Android land. Like this needs to be white instead of black, and this selection color is probably not the world's best. I think it was because of that, because of the font color, right? we had a problem where we couldn't switch out the font color in dark mode, I think. Let's try that and see. And so, just like you all, I'm starting my new year by trying to remember where I left the project at that I'm currently working on. Now, this is what we eventually want it to look like. That's the inventory app that's natively run in Android. And this is our .NET version of it, right? So what we want to do is go to here, close both those out, go to settings, just do a search for dark theme. Just close that out. One dark theme. You can't just do dark. It should be in settings. Settings? Oh, here we are. Dark. Yep. And I think what was happening, if I remember right from last year, is that we had a problem where the app, the theme would not remember white. What is remember white? Okay. Well, that looks way better. We just need to make that the selection color. Oh, the dark red is probably not going to show up with the black text. That's why we added a different color. This looks amazing in dark mode, though. That really pops. I like it a lot more than I like light mode. I am a dark mode fan. So it looks like the real issue here is coming up with a font that works right with the overlay color. Because the problem is that font color, right here, you can see here, I made it, this is one of the shades of red that comes from our theme. Because the dark red, this red right here with black in the background doesn't look right. And I think that's why we made it a shade of red, but we could probably make it a darker shade of red than that because it does kind of look out of place. But I mean, outside of that, this is working just fine. Oop. Let me go back to my emulator here, and that's so we've got a weird problem where this button here is not, the toolbar button is not white where it should be white, and then we have a problem here with this. Those are minor glitches. I'm not going to worry about those too much, to tell you the truth right now. We can kind of fix those in our technical debt. Instead we're still in feature development, just try to get our get features done in the application, right? I mean, that's if you nitpick over everything, you're never going to be able to ship something, right? And so when you're doing side projects like this, especially, my goal is to try to get functionality out as fast as possible. Versus not. So let's see here. If we go look at the original application, let's kind of go in here and look here and see. We need to get this next, I guess. And so we need to get the ability for the header to draw and make sure it doesn't screw up everything. So it looks like we have a horizontal line. We've got some, this will probably need to be a couple different ways we could do this. We could do this with a V stack, a vertical stack, 2 elements, and then this element here we could do a grid where we have 30% of the grid be here, and then inside here we would have a vertical stack of 2 items. So this would be a grid of 1 row, 2 columns, or we could do a row span of 2 here and have these rows be separate. And so the grid would basically be 2 rows. This will be the same row. This would be separate rows. We would span this. I'm pretty sure you can still do that in Maui. What a row span means is that you can have it span multiple rows, and so that it takes up multiple things. Let's go. So that's ChatGPT. In .NET Maui, can I create a grid with 2 columns and a row that spans 2 rows? We'll ask GitHub Copilot if it thinks that we can do that or not. So let's see here. It says, well, it's spanning 2 columns, not 2 rows. That's column span. But I want row span. Yes, you can create a grid with 2 columns and a row that spans 2 rows. Here's how you can do it. Column definitions. So it's basically giving me a column definition. I don't think that those are right. Then we have 2 rows. Okay. And then we say box 1, 2, 3. And then we're adding the boxes to the grid 0, 0. This would be row 0, column 0, column 0, row 0, column 1, row 0. And then here, column 0, row 1. And then you tell it to span 2 columns. But that's not what I wanted to do. I want a row span, not column span. So this is wrong because what should happen is that the first item should take 2 rows instead of 1, not 2 columns. I don't think this gives me what I want. And the first example, box view 1 and 2 are in the first row, each of their own column. Box 3 is in the second row, spans both columns. That's the exact opposite of what I asked for. I asked for row span, not column span. But I think we could do that. So let's just try and see if, since that's not really helping, let's see if we can just write it ourselves. So let's go back into our app shell. Our app shell is what's currently doing our flyout menu. We're using shell. You don't have to use shell. It's a optional way to do this. And we know that we have some issues going on with the shell with iOS, and I doubt that this issue is fixed, but we always can go check and see what the status is on this. It's still open. And this is a problem with iOS where the first item wasn't working right. So we got a little fix in here that somebody kind of posted at the bottom of here. Obviously, there's a lot of comments in here. Andy is the G74 is a person. I'm using his workaround, and that worked pretty well. So let's see here. So we have a vertical stack to start out with, and we need this particular code to fix iOS. Okay, then we have a frame. Oh, wait, is this the header? It is the header. Oh, let's take a look at that again. Let's go to iOS first. I should be using Mac for this probably because it builds faster. Because there's no emulator or simulator to get involved. Let's just check this here real quick. All right, so we have the menu drawing up here. Then we would need some padding. And then we would have the circle and grid and stuff. Okay. So that's helpful. So we have a frame and a label. And so that would be our frame. What's this all inside? A vertical stack. Okay, perfect. So then inside the vertical stack, we would add a grid. That's what we're thinking, right? So start with a grid. And we would know that we want. Copilot gave us some answers, but it's not probably what we want. So it basically said, create a grid. It's also not in XAML, which kind of sucks. But I think we can get what it's cooking here. Let's go look and see what it provides in XAML instead of C#. Okay, this is what I was more looking for. So we're saying this would actually be different though, because in our column definition, we would want to have the picture taken about 30%, right? So minimize this so we have more screen real estate here. So the first thing we want to kind of do here is say we want this, but we really want the picture taken about 30%. And then we want everything else, or 30, oh, not 30 pixels. What is the picture? Is it 25 squared? I'll leave it 30 so it happens here. And then let's go back to GitHub Pilot. And then say we want our, we'll need some rows. We definitely want 2 rows. And so we'll have a grid definition here. So that all we have to do inside of our grid is say, I guess we'll start with box view. We'll say a box view color equals red. And then we will say for that, we want our grid dot column to be 0. And then we'll say I think that's what we want. Why does it say row spans not available though? There is a row span. Okay. I think this is going to work. And then we would say box view. We'll say color is equal to, we'll do blue and green. Blue. And we'll say this is grid dot column 1. Copy the same box view. Oh, and then we'll say row 1, grid, row. This would be row 0. Oops. There we go. Copy this again, paste it again, and this would be row 1. And this would be green. And then we just need a line after this, some kind of line. A couple different ways I guess we could do that. We could make a row that's a single pixel and make the background color a certain color that would draw a line. But let's go see what the best way to make a horizontal line of Maui is. We'll ask it the most obvious thing, right? How do we do that? They're saying box view. Height request 1. And yeah, okay. Shit, I'll go with that. Boxes are a little expensive to draw, but why not? And I think we could add some padding to this too then, right? We want the, we don't want all, we want, this would be 16, I think, and then this will be 20, something like that. Let's run this on our iPhone mini and see if this is what we, basically, is this what we're getting? This is what we want. Got nothing. Nothing drew there. What the heck's going on here? Did it not build? Clear all. 2 errors in files. Wait, what? What is it talking about here? What's what you talking about here? It's saying that there's errors, but it built. Let's see if this runs. Build. Let's just close this and see if it's building now. So it's building, even though it says there's 2 errors in files. Oh, let's see here. It's saying that app shall. Wait, what? Why would it be missing the app shell reference? That makes no sense to me. And there's logout clicked. So that's a fake error. That method is right. Let's see here. Oh, did it run? It did run. So it is. So the errors are fake. Not getting anything up in our header though, drawing. Let's try to figure out why we're not getting our. So we know we're getting our menu up here. We know our label's going here. Oh, wait. We would need that because that's our frame. So this would be our first record in the grid, right? The horizontal stack. What do we got here? We've got, are we just basically running out of height? Yeah, because this is the height, isn't it? And we would want this, let's see, 150. We probably need to make this 200 pixels. It's already there and there. Make this 200 pixels there. Let's try this now. I think that's the issue, is that I forced the height of the, what's padding actually, not height. Well, then that shouldn't matter. It's running. Okay, well, definitely the space increased, but we got nothing drawn there. That's not good. What's going on here? Let's see here. So we know that it increased the spacing here, right? But I still don't see any of our box views drawing. So I wonder if I give them height. If I give them height, does it work? Try to figure out why our grid doesn't draw here. Hey, King FID. Hey, bro, what are you building today? Where is the Swift UI? Usually Swift UI is at night. So we're building. This is a .NET MAUI application using .NET. Using LunchStream is going to be lunch stuff. So there's our problem. You'll see here that we need a margin after it, and that I think it's working. So I had to give it height. If I didn't give it height or any content inside of it, it doesn't know how to draw. So, and that would kind of make sense, right? From that standpoint. But you can see here, one of the problems is it's just too big, or it's just too close to the other items. So that's not going to work. But that's good. We can just tell it that the margin, right? So we'll say margin. Let's give it 0 for left and right, and then we'll give it a We'll want 0 because we want a top. So top will give it 40 pixels. Right, 0, and then bottom. Oh, bottom 20 pixels. We'll start with that. This should force it to go down. We don't have hot reload in Rider, so we have to build every time, which is a big bummer. Hot reload does work in Windows, but we do not do Windows here. So there we go. All right, so this is already starting to look promising, right? So now I can see here, this is it. It's not supposed to look like that. What it's supposed to look like is this, right? That's what we're trying to get to, is this, but we're trying to just build out how it would work. And so we'll have we'll have 3 rows because we need the button to update the profile. So we'll have an image here that's taking 2 rows. We'll have the email address, the team, and then we'll have this and then a line. So the box view, probably the line didn't draw because I forgot to tell it. Yeah, the color is black and we want to make that gray. Gray. And that should show up both there. And then we would have to have one more row, right? That will have the link inside of it. So we'd have another row definition. That would give us our 3rd row. And our 3rd row would just have a button in it. Geared row would be 2, 0, 1, and 2. I need class on this. Button. And we just want to say here that the button text equals update profile. And then we just need to say, boy, why is it not? Let me get to the end here. Nope, I just want the end of that word. So VI plugin just not working right today. A grid.row equals 2. And then the column, we would say grid dot column span equals 2, and that should do it. Maui looks a lot like Flutter. If you've used Flutter before, it's very similar. And what are we getting a warning on here? Equals 0, call span equals 2. That would, and then we'd also want to say horizontal options equals center and vertical options equals center. That should get us the link over there. If the stream's labeled, let me check to see if the stream is labeled. Make sure it's not labeled. So they're wrong here. Nope. Okay, it's all labeled right. Just check, make sure the stream is labeled on all 3 platforms that it's .net. Let's take a look at our what we got done here and see if this works. Okay, that's working, but the problem now is that the update profile button is overcovering our grid. So we've done something wrong here. Row 2. I've got 3 rows defined, 0, 1, and 2. Column definition at 2, those are right. This would be column 0, row span 2, and this would be row 1. That would be row 0, right? I like to take my controls and kind of do it like HTML, where you kind of get these all lined up so you can kind of see the properties all at once. A little bit easier to read. So this is row 0. This would be row 0, 1. This would still be row 0, column 1. So that's right, right? Okay, that's looking better. And then green. Column 1, row 1. And then this button would be row 2, column 0 and 1. This will be center. The height's probably off on this. This needs to be 40 pixels, my guess. But then I need to change the button type also to be a text button instead of the pushy button. Yeah, so that instantly pushed us down, but still is not giving us the padding that we really need on the top. This really, also our lines there actually. That's a good point to see that our line is showing up properly here. It's probably a little bit there's too much padding here, obviously, and probably too much padding here, and not enough padding there. So we need to just kind of move things around a little bit here to see if we can get that right. So let's see here. Box view, we're saying top and bottom. So let's take this and say that the top. 20 on each side's not bad, to tell you the truth. I think it's button style. Let's ask Copilot. How do we I thought it was a style you set, but let's Copilot. It's saying that don't set the background color. So we would have to make, because there's a theme on this, so we'd have to say background color equals transparent. And that would make it so that the text color would be whatever. But we still have this problem where the button, let's run it again. I think that that's going to cause a separate problem though, because the button has a very specific theming to it. And I think what's going to happen is that's going to cause me to have issues with the text color. Yeah, see, that looks better. Now we have too much padding here, and that's clickable. I think it needs to be down a little bit more, but we probably could fix that. And these two rows will probably have to be higher. Let's start taking boxes out and put crap there instead. So instead of this, this would be a label. And we'll say that this is text is email, or text equals email, our name, and then we'll have another label. We'll make this label email. Something like that. We'll say that this is label like that. This will give us a little bit more realistic here. Now this box view, we don't need that. We need to probably steal the image and then figure out how to get that working with the assets. That's always tricky here in Maui. If we go to properties, not properties, where is it? It's in if I remember right, there's an asset folder, resources, yeah. And so in here we put it in images and then it'll generate the image for us. This has been hit and miss for us. This SVG option. I I can tell you that it sometimes draws it pixelated. I don't need a .NET bot. Get rid of that. So let's see here. We're gonna cheat. I'm gonna go find the image I did for the other app, and then we'll just basically use the same image. So let me go see if I can find that real quick. So that would be in my tutorials, and then Android. That was the Kotlin learning path. And then if we look here, we can go into our. These are just the launcher. Where is the drawables? There's our profile picture right there. So that's all we need. So we'll just drag that in to the images folder here. I wonder if I need that to be an SVG so it knows how to resize it into PNGs. But it's already PNG, so it should be add existing. I wonder if there's an option, just browse to it and then copy it. Let me just drag this over here. So we'll see here, open, copy, add. Okay. And let's get rid of special characters can sometimes really suck. So let's just get rid of that, say call it profile placeholder. All right, that seems like that's cool. Now we should be able to do is get an image view here. So just an image. Okay. And we need, probably need its path, right? So what do we got available here? Grid, height, load, parent, source. This is going to be called profile placeholder. And we should probably do a height in with request of 50, height request of 50. And then we want to make this a rounded image, right? Because I think it's going to be square. Ask Copilot how to make image round radius. In Maui.NET Maui, how do we take an image and make a corner radius on it to make it look. And I think in Android Native I make a mask for it, if I remember right. In this example, okay, so set your image source, height request, request aspect, fill, contact, corner radius 50, which would be half of it. So we need these two things right here. According to Copilot, we set those and we set it to half, and that would make it a circle. So the corner radius would be 25. But it's saying the corner radius is not available. Go look at, was it, maybe they used the image view instead of regular image? Image source with aspect corner radius. We may have to call the Google end because that looks like it's not going to work. So let's see here. hell is a... I don't want to sync Fusion. I just want a regular image making it myself. Oh, there's the avatar view in the toolkit. No shit. Well, guys, we need to load the community toolkit. Is it loaded already? Let's see here. Helpers. We need a community toolkit. Community toolkit. Microsoft community toolkit. Oh, sorry, we'd have to say XML namespace equals Microsoft community key toolkit equals. There we go. Why does it keep? I feel like the IntelliSense is not really helping me all that much here. Microsoft Maui Controls Toolkit. I don't think that's what the community toolkit namespace is. I just want to know what the community toolkit's. All right, here we go. We have it. I don't want the behaviors. I just want the buttons. Let's go look at. Views, avatar view. Here we go. So we have to do this. Therefore, the following. So that's what we're doing wrong here. So now we got toolkit in. We can just rock this thing out as one of those. Let's see. We want. Let's take an image source. Okay. That's pretty easy. Take all this out. Image source instead. Magic sauce. Oh, it's because it's too big for mine. There it goes. My tab is not working. I'll just have where is it? Code, and then tell it to for my code. That should fix it. All right. See what happens. Okay, failed. See the deployment for details. What's going on here? So obviously, we know that the only thing we've changed so far here is the image, right? So it's got to be something to do with this avatar image that we put in. So let's see. Let's go back to avatar and see if we can figure out what caused that to happen. So the first guess is that this placeholder is wrong, right? I can put PNG to see if that fixes it. I thought you didn't need to put the PNG in, but let's see if that fixes it. Yeah, where are my deployment errors though? See, this is wrong. View. View. Problems. Shell is already defined in other parts. I'm inheriting from shell. None of these are helping. So let's go check a couple other things. One. So none of these errors are the right error. That's telling me what's going on, because obviously we know that it built before I added the avatar here. Let's go check to see. Unity toolkit. What do we have to do here? Let's double check. Getting started. We need to add the NuGet package. So let's check our nugs to make sure that that's what's going on here. Let's go into our dependencies. Manage NuGig. Make sure that we have Community Toolkit Maui, Community Toolkit MVM. So we have it. There's a new update available. We should probably take that. Oops. No, I want version. Oh boy, I really hate this. I find their UI for package management insanely terrible compared to Visual Studio for Mac. So this is the latest version. That's the latest version. Latest version, latest version. Okay. So we've got the NuGet package. That's not what's causing. Let's see here. What are they saying here? We got to initialize the toolkit. Use Maui app. Use Maui toolkit. Let's make sure that that's being happening. So let's go to our, this is in program. Is that what's happening? Let's see here. Use community toolkits right there. So we know that that's not it either because we're registering it. Okay. So that's right. They're saying here to use the toolkit like that. That's both right. So we are left with some options here. So we think that we have that right. We think that that's right. So one of the things they said in the avatar was that you could give it some text instead of the image source, right? So let's remove our image source. instead of say text equals AL. And then close it. And then run it and see if it still builds. So it does not work at all. So let's delete this. Can we just comment this out? And then put back a box view. Color equals red. And then we'll say all this below it. And then close out the box view. Why would it be mad? Oh. XML. Let's go back to this and see if this works, because this will tell us it's the Gravatar. So that's not working either. Why are we not deploying? To a clean. What did we change here? We added 2 labels. Name, email, and a button. That's all we did. So let's just try to build. Okay, here we go. Ah, okay. Well, here's what it's bad about. It's because of the name. One or more invalid file names were detected. What? That seems weird. Let's ask our Googles about this. You shouldn't have to use the decode and stuff. That's BS. Maui should be in mobile doing that. That's a terrible article. All right. Images can be added to your project by the resource images folder, where build action automatically be set to Maui image. Oh, is it because in there it can't be? It has to be an SVG file? So let's see what the, I guess it's saying that the CS proj file, there's an entry for this. So let's go edit that. See if we can see what the heck's going on here. All right. Let's see. Splash screen images. I don't see an image for it at all. Let's just search for place. And it's not in there, so that's not good. Let's say to do a star here, right? What's it saying to do here, though? See, this should get all of it. So let's just do this. What was it called? Profile placeholder. Profile placeholder. PNG. Move it down here. No, it's in there twice. I don't think that's going to fix it. Must only contain alphanumeric characters or underscores. Well, that is true. So this obviously did not fix it. Boy, the tooling in here is just downright terrible. Edit. So pH profile, placeholder profile, pH profile. I'm going to here. I don't know, I think I just changed this to a box. Now will it build? Or is it just going to be pissed if I put anything in there? So last time I had a camel case, and I wonder if does camel case do it? Is it just like the tooling that bad? Build this time. Go ahead and run and see what happens. And then I'll change that back to an image. See if the image source will read it. And I think we'll have to call it a day. So we got email here. Well, one, we know that these need some padding between them. A lot of padding, but and those are getting cut off because of the height, right? Because I think I do a height request on those. So let's take a look here on the grid. Yeah, so I'm doing a height request on those. So if I did this, this, and this, that should hopefully help it render better. Not perfect. Try this again. And I really didn't. Actually, made it kind of worse on those, I think. I guess it's a little better, but there's no doubt that what's causing it though? Padding. This would be left 16 0 0 0. Add the same padding to email for 16 pixels of padding. See if that fixes it, makes it look better. Does. That font still looks a little cut off. Not sure, but it's better. But now we got to get our image placeholder there. So our box view, we just want to be a Maui image. Our image back the image. And now we just have to say, oh no, wait, this was the toolkit, right? We wanted to do toolkit, avatar view. And then we just wanted to say, image source equals ph profile. See if it builds. If it doesn't build, then we know there's something going on with this freaking image naming and stuff that it does. Looks like it's running now. It's a bomb. Nope. That's right. It's working, but it needs some freaking huge padding. Oh, padding. 16 from the, but we need more than that. 28. Try to think of how big a UI cell view padding is to the from the left over from the starting. Yeah, see, all I did was do the image though. So it's the whole. Is it the grid that needs it? Wait a minute. Where the hell is that again? Let's take a look at that. It's like the whole grid needs it. So the grid needs to be shifted over. That's what's going on. The image doesn't need the padding because the image is just going to, it's just going to make the image follow the center of the avatars. So the grid here, we need to add padding. Add a margin. Margin would force it over. 28 may be too far though. We might have to just go 16. Or we may just have to tell it to be center. If we do a horizontal and vertical and tell it to be center, that may solve it. That's probably the problem. I mean, that looks better, but I'm going to guess. It doesn't look too bad. Let's see here. Let's just. I don't like to have to put the margin like that. Let's try this. Horizontal options center. Vertical. Put this back to 0. Run it again. Everything I do here, I'm gonna then have to fix per platform, right? And so the goal of Maui is don't set things unless you have to. Oh, that's way too far over. Okay, I was wrong on that. So horizontal, we'd want to just say start, and then we still are gonna need this. And we'll probably have to do a platform specific in here. Let's say that 28 is probably a good start for iOS, or let's do 16. If I remember right, that's it's either 14 or 16, I think, is the normal cell for a UI, for a cell in iOS and the UI table view that has an image on its place first. Oh, let's check it again, see what happens here. Yeah, so now the problem though is that the tool button, our button there, is not working because we're overriding it. All right, let's take these out. That's actually not helping us. Do one more time here. See if we go back to where we had it. Make sure it looks decent. Looks better. We've got to get the we've got to get this spacing taken care of between that line. I think we'll call it a day. Then we'll make a view model for this and wire it up here. So let's see here. That's because of this. We can say that that's only 2. Let's see if that makes it look better. And then the whole entire thing will probably have to change the height in iOS. Yeah, that does look better. See, this is too far down. That's because we made the height of the flout here way too high in iOS. We said 200 pixels. Padding. Go back to 100 on mobiles. We probably want less now. We probably want 50 is my guess because now the header is so much bigger. That's my guess. We also want to make sure we don't cause the iOS bug to happen again where if the header is a certain size, you can't click the first the first item in the list. Okay. So I'm still able to click projects, still able to click developer. Go here. Now the problem though is I'm noticing is that we're too close to the horizontal line. We need to drop and add a little bit more padding. And the space doesn't need to be so much there either. Maybe even make that image a little bigger. So let's make that 70. And then while we're doing that, let's also go through and make our, where's our box view here? 16, 0. All right, we'll make it 0, 0, 10. So I'm gonna guess the button, somebody's adding padding to the bottom. Is it just the grid itself? We got margin bottom 20. There it is. That's where our fattiness is coming from, is the grid itself. That's just causing the line to go down so far. My bad. Get this fixed up. Yeah, that's looking better. That's looking better. Let's see if we can click. Okay. We've got something that is semi almost functional. And we can update our update profile button here, get an email address in here. Image could probably be a hair bigger. But I'd really like that to be centered though too. We can kill this comment stuff because it's cool. We got our image loading. 50, 75, 100. Let's just make it 100. And can we say horizontal option center and vertical option center? Let's see what that does. And then, like I said, I think we had to call it a day. The stream's been going for about an hour and 15 minutes. I got to get back to work. I got work to do. Got stuff to do today. Happy to be back, though. Oh, boy, that's way too big. That's way too big. Ooh, yikes. Yeah, that is not, that's not rolling. Let's go to 70. See if we can get this looking nice so I can check in the code. I went a little bonkers there. Too big. Okay, so now I think that's the size I want it. But now the problem is the height request is off for the where is it off? So this is padding on the vertical stack, right? So let's go frame height request here. Here's where we go. No, that's for the frame. So that's just for the red bar that draws. Close the frame up. I don't care. Grid. Margin, top, bottom 10. Width, height request. Take all the heights. What's it look like again? So one, we gotta give it padding. So this definitely grid is not over 16 anymore. That makes no sense to me though, because just changing the image size seems to cause that to happen. But it's very clear that the image is clipping out. You can see at the top and the bottom it clipping out. Oop. Shouldn't have to do this anymore. Shouldn't have to hard code this like anymore. The request should force it to be what it is. Yeah, it's still wrong. It's not really respecting anything anymore. Like the labels are not respecting where they should be either. The button is, but the whole grid itself is kind of foobarred now. So we want to say, is it because of the first column width of 30? Oh yeah, that's right. Duh. That would not work anymore. We'd have to make the first column width 60 to match the width request of the image. We'd actually have to make it more than that. We'd have to make it 60 plus the padding. There it is. That's what was going on. My bad. I forgot I had hard coded the width requester. This is why I should always just make it star, right? Just let it work itself out. But we have box views, and so when we were doing the box views, if we didn't give it some kind of height, the box views didn't have any content to draw, and they didn't know what to do with themselves. Somebody's gonna win, right? And so you have to put a number in to get the box views to tell somebody who wins or how it should win. I think if we do this, this will. Oh shit, that looks terrible though. So gotta give it numbers. Somebody's got to give numbers so it knows where to start hanging out, right? So we're gonna say that this is 76, I think, because what I want is, well, the grid should have the margin on it. So if I say this is, if I say this is 70, I think I'm gonna be happy if I make the width and the height here. I think I could take those two lines out. I don't think that these are getting value. I think the value was done was right here, the width request of the first column of saying, hey, make this 70 pixels and make the other ones just use the rest of the space that's available. I honestly believe that was the fix. That was my bad because, like I said, we had box views starting out. Yep. That is much better. I still think that these fonts could shift up. So now we have a problem where our top margin is 40, so we're coming down 40 pixels. But the problem is name. So here's our avatars taking 70 pixels for height request. It's spanning 2 rows. problem is going to be name. These are taking 35 now a piece, but it doesn't know any better. I think what I have to do is I have to drop some padding on the top of name to get it down so that it's centered properly between these two. I think I hate to do this. I hate to tweak this, but I'll look to see if there's a better solution for this. But I think if I do that, it's gonna fix my name being too high because it should be down just a hair. Both these should be down a hair to be centered. The problem is once I do that, yeah, see, that looks better. But now the problem is when I do that, it could very possibly screw up Android, right? This is the fear of doing these kind of tweaks. Let's go look at Android real quick, and then we'll call it a day. Like I said, tomorrow we'll do a lunch stream again. We'll get the emails actually to look up something from a database. So we'll need to make another view where you can actually fill out your user profile. We'll read that from the database, and then we'll bring it back and draw it in there. So that's, I think, what our next part of the do. But we have a button now where we can bring the view up with too, so we can do some routing, which would be kind of nice. Oh, my Android emulator is already up. Where is it? It's over here. Just need to home this puppy. It's building right now, but we can click the home button. Close both out. We got the spinning hourglass of weight, or the spinning circle of weight. It says it's installing. I mean, installing is a good chance. Yeah, here we go. We got our logo. Click here, click here. Let's see how bad Android is going to go for us. Projects. It's not bad. That's not bad. Not bad. Our button not showing up because of the text. The text by default, I guess, is white. Yeah, I didn't define the button text. So the text will probably be a problem. If I make it gray, it would show up on both. Text color. I don't think that's going to look great. But I'll prove that that's what the issue is. Either that or I have a problem where the button's height is what's causing it. I just want to see if it's a color versus a height issue. If it's a height issue, we'll... Nope, that is the problem. Okay. So that's something else we'll have to look into, is making a standard... Should we just make it a regular button? Why did we make it a transparent background? I think it's because I like the way it looked just as text, because that's what it was in the other app, but do we really care? Do I really care? Well, the rest of the menu items on the navigation bar are words. So that does look stupid because these are all words with icons. That's a pretty fat button. It's a pretty fat button. But it does force you to know that that's what you need to do. Can I just shrink the text size? Text. Font size 12 font size. Ooh, Come from Sesame Street. Could I just shrink the font size down and make that button look a little bit more nicer? More nice. Nicer is not a word. I think I can thin that button down. I think I can thin that button down to look pretty decent like that. I think if I thin the top and the bottom down, I'd probably be happy with that button. Height. Request equals 4. I think that thinned that button down quite a bit. I did some math in my head. I knew that the font was going to be 12. No, I want equal spacing on each side of it. And you want to have enough where it can draw. You see, that's too much. That's too little. So I was trying to do math in my head of what the request would be for that. I don't think 30 is going to be... 30 doesn't make sense to me. If you have padding of... I don't know what the padding is, right? I guess I may have to hard code that. I may have to make like a style for this in the main app versus hard coding this, and so that I can customize this. Yeah, see, so 30 is not going to be enough because of the font size. Something's got to give. Either the font size would have to give, or the height request would have to give. Let's see if we can give the height request, see if that's going to look okay. Yeah, it's still not enough. 36. It's going to be the bare minimum height request for me to make this look decent. The answer is 36. I still think I can thin this out using a custom style, but I don't need to do that today. I think we've got our core functionality here. So our app shell, we're going to need tomorrow to build a couple things. So one, we need a view model. So in our view models, we'll have to look to see if we have an app shell view model. I do not see a app view model yet. So we'll need that because we'll need a view model to attach this puppy. And then that will have our business logic of how to like do things, like how do we route to a different page, and how do we go get the information about the user profile to swap out the built-in stuff with whatever we need to swap it out with. So I think that's tomorrow what we're going to start playing around with. So, and then we'll go through and start cleaning some of these styles up now that we've got a pretty good idea what's going on here. But I think this is a good place to stop. I guess we'll check the Mac real quick and then we'll call it a day. Here's our Mac version of the app. And not too bad. I don't like the button being the opposite color like that. I think that looks terrible, but I mean the profile's there. So on the Mac version, I think what we could do is we can up some of these values. So we can do some on platforms. And on platform, I think we definitely need to I just don't like that button like that at all. I think I want to go back to words, but I gotta figure out the font because we'd have to check the theme. And if the theme is a certain color, we'll have to make the font one color versus the other, right? So I think what we would do is we'd make it white on black and black and white. That's, I think, would make the most sense. Maybe make it underlined so people know it's a button. That seems like a web thing, but I think that that's popular these days. But I don't have underlines here, so although when you click a button, you do get a highlight, so you know that that's what you're currently doing. I think we'll just start with the words. That's what we'll do. All right, folks. Everybody, thanks for hanging out on the lunch stream. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next lunch stream. For those of you watching video on demand, welcome back also on YouTube. So, all right, y'all, take care, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the .NET lunch stream.